Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. This is our first ever CDP year in review. My name is Monica Lewis. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as the manager of engagement at SMU DataArts. I'm going to briefly go ahead and pause and share my physical descriptions. I am a cisgendered African-American woman. I am wearing a white blouse with a mustard colored headband and dark brown hair. I am joined today by my colleague and co-presenter, AJ Taylor, who is our support center specialist. And I'm going to pause to allow AJ a moment to introduce himself and to share his physical descriptions.
Hello, everyone. My name is AJ Taylor. I'm a support center specialist here at SMU DataArts. I use he, him pronouns. I am a cisgendered white man in my mid-30s. I've got brown hair, a thin beard, and I wear glasses in addition to a blue and green checkered button-down shirt. Thank you so much, Monica, and I'm passing it off back to you.
Thank you, AJ. I also want to introduce two of our other colleagues who are in the background who will be assisting with answering questions and our Q&A. And that's Katie Ingersoll, who is our Director of Programs, and Dan Gordon, who is our Support Center Manager. So with that, I want to take an additional moment to acknowledge the Indigenous people, past and present, as the stewards of the lands that we're on today. While we do come today on a virtual platform, I take this moment to acknowledge the significance of the lands that we all call home. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all First Nations people. At SMU DataArts, we specifically acknowledge the Apache, the Caddo, Comanche, Cushata, Tonkawa, the Wichita and affiliated Kichi, Waco, Taiwanese, and Lenni Lenape peoples, upon whose traditional territories SMU DataArts now exists. And we do invite each of you to utilize the chat feature to share your own introductions and your own personal land acknowledgement if you would like to. Now for a bit of housekeeping during today's presentation, I will ask that everyone remain on mute, and that's to minimize any background noise. And also to ensure the best sound quality as we are recording today's presentation. We do ask that you take a moment to find both the chat feature and the Q&A feature. And both of these icons are going to be on your Zoom dashboard. We encourage you to utilize the chat feature for any technology issues that you may be experiencing. And I'll also point out that our amazing team is behind the scenes sharing a number of links to reports and research and resources that you will be able to utilize. We encourage you to use the Q&A feature for any questions that you may have about today's content. We'll answer them, and we'll also have a Q&A portion at the end of our time together. And for anyone who would like to activate closed captioning, that feature is available to you. Simply click the CC icon on your Zoom dashboard. You'll then be prompted to view captioning by live feed or by transcript. And again, if you need any assistance with this feature, please reach out to us via chat. And to preempt one of our most popular questions, again, we are recording today's presentation. We will send a follow-up communication that will have a link along with the slides that we'll use today and information about a number of the resources that we'll share in the chat feature. With that, let's go ahead and get started. So here is a quick view of our agenda for today. And we'll start with a look at our organization. You'll hear from our director at SMU DataArts, Dr. Zani Voss. And after that, we'll spend some time exploring the cultural data profile and the highlights from this year. We'll follow the data by exploring research offered this year from the data that you've entered into the CDP. And we'll end our time exploring some helpful updates and future trainings and webinars and additional resources that'll be available to you in the new year. So we work with many organizations who have entered their data or maybe in the process of entering their data into the cultural data profile. And that could be a part of a grant application process. I want to briefly share why SMU DataArts does the work that we do and how your data provides insights to the field beyond the grant application process. At SMU DataArts, in addition to collecting data through the CDP, We're also a research center, and the core of our mission is to provide organizations and individuals with insights they need to build a strong, vibrant, and equitable arts community. There is so much about art and culture that can't be measured, but we are committed to using data and research to empower art leaders, grant makers, and advocates working towards a stronger, more equitable arts sector. And we do that by building capacity for data use in the arts and culture, collecting high quality longitudinal data on the sector, and developing methodologies to respond to evolving sector needs. And we provide insights from the data that people can use. So we could not do this work without you, and I would like to share my own personal thanks to each of your efforts and commitment to the cultural data profile. We know that it requires a bit of resilience and time and effort to put your data into the CDP, and we just want to say thank you. For each of the webinars that you've attended or the reports that you've engaged with us, I want to share our thanks. I want to pass it off to AJ to also share his thanks and appreciation.
Thank you, Monica. And yes, I would like to pass along our thanks from all of us over at the Support Center. On behalf of our team, we would especially like to share our appreciation. We're thankful for each of you who reached out to our team with any issues you've experienced with our platform and your flexibility and understanding as we work to troubleshoot any issues and technical difficulties. So thanks again.
Thank you, AJ. And now I would like to give a moment to share a word from our director who recorded her words prior to this presentation.
Hello and welcome to today's presentation, the CDP Year in Review webinar. Well, you'll hear from our team as they share CDP updates and insights provided to the field based on data entered into the cultural data profile. My name is Zani Voss. I'm the director of SMU DataArts, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you today. Before our presenters get going, I do want to take this moment to share my sincere thanks and appreciation to each of you. The data set that comes from the CDP has allowed our research team at SMU DataArts and many other institutions the ability to provide valuable insights to the field in so many ways, a few of which you'll learn about today. We know the process of entering your data year after year takes time, patience, and energy, and we're so thankful to each of you for your efforts this year. To each institution, organization, staff member, individual artist, and board member, and to all of our grant-making partners, we share deepest gratitude. It goes without saying we truly could not do what we do without you. We hope that you'll continue to stay connected with us in 2023 as we look forward to another year of useful research drawn from robust data. In the meantime, you're in excellent hands today. I'm going to now hand it back over to Monica and AJ. Enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Zani, for those kind words. I now want to take the next few moments to explore the cultural data profile and the highlights from this year. I'll start with some context regarding the cultural data profile. As a reminder, the cultural data profile, or the CDP for short, is our annual survey that we use to collect and organize data from across the arts and cultural sector. At the end of each fiscal year, once an organization's books are closed, they visit our platform to enter financial and programmatic data. It sounds straightforward, but we know that this can be a challenging process. Back in 2020, our team dedicated plans to streamline the data entry experience for users of the CDP. During that year, we heard from CDP users about their data entry experience. We discussed the CDP data needed from our research team and explored the technology that supports our platform. Ultimately, we spent that year listening and learning to find the best path to a more streamlined data entry experience. And at the start of 2021, we launched the streamlined version of the CDP. This version simplified some sections of the CDP, removed questions that made the data entry experience challenging, and added helpful questions to learn more about organizational missions and target audiences. This felt particularly helpful as we unexpectedly moved into a pandemic where capacity among so many other issues impacted data entry. Now, we will always be transparent and recognize that this didn't make data entry easy, as it can still be a challenging experience. But we've learned that the improvements have impacted data gathering and data entry timing for many organizations, and we feel this is a move in the right direction. This process also allowed our team to think deeply about other ways to make this data entry more accessible. In the time of the launch of Streamline to this year, we have implemented a number of tools to better support as people entered their data. Within the platform itself, for example, we have strengthened our commonly asked questions, expanded definitions, and articles within our knowledge base. For folks who attend our training and educational webinars, we have incorporated some best practices to remove as many barriers as we can. You'll also find support center members in those webinars to provide helpful perspectives and answers to questions. And many of our support materials offer Spanish interpretation. You'll also find that our CDP webinar recordings also offer Spanish interpretation via closed captioning as well. And you may have noticed, actually, a bit of branding adjustment. We explored our printed and downloadable reports and adjusted our color combination to be more thoughtful for folks who have diverse abilities when viewing color. And we've always been open to hear from users on ways to better remove barriers. This year, we also made some improvements to the technology that supports the CDP. Our technology team spent time fixing bugs and other issues that impacted the data entry experience. For example, we've repaired the login issue that impacted a number of users' ability to easily log in. We've added historical notes back to the internal notes feature and made a system enhancement that improved loading times and sped up the error check process. And this is just a snapshot of the changes we've made this year. We think those improvements, coupled with your efforts, led to a great year. I want to share some highlights and quick facts about this year, starting with the fiscal years entered into the CDP this year. As you know, we recommend that users begin entering their data into the CDP once their fiscal year ends and their financial books are closed, and for some organizations, we recommend they don't begin entering data until their financial reports are completed by independent accounting firms. This year, we saw data representing fiscal years 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. This new data helped organizations run a number of SMU DataArts analytic reports outside of the funder report that goes to grant makers. Once your data has been entered in the platform, you immediately have access to a number of reports, like annual reports that provide a summary of your organization's financial activity, program activity, staffing data, and attendance via a series of tables and graphs. The trend report analyzes changes in your data year to year, and comparison reports allow you to compare your organization with a comparison group. And many of you joined our library of webinars to learn how to access and review these reports, along with training on how to enter data into the CDP. This year, we offered over 20 webinars that welcomed folks to the CDP, as well as our suite of analytic reports, and over 300 people registered. We also provide a few other virtual trainings and presentations that offered a regional focus. One of these is our State of the Sector. This past spring, our presentation titled Michigan Arts and Culture Through the Pandemic, produced in partnership with the Michigan Arts and Culture Council. This gave audiences a deep dive look into the arts and cultural landscape of the region from pre-pandemic into the early impact of COVID-19. And for grant makers in Arizona, we developed a Grant Makers series that looked at the CDP from the grant makers' perspective. This series covered 5 different webinar learning sessions We kicked off with a helpful overview, exploration into the dataset, best practices on interpreting applicant data with EDI in mind, and we ended with a review of research. Before we do make that shift to research and learning from the CDP, I want to highlight some CDP 2022 quick facts. It is helpful to think that the next few slides are a snapshot from this year. It's not a complete picture of everything, but just highlights. And while we celebrate our high moments, we'll be transparent on some places where we hope to see improvement in the future. But first, I want to highlight the regions that had the highest percentage of CDP data entry. Folks on the West Coast had the highest presented of the country had presented the larger region of CDP data entry this year, followed by Midwest and Northeast. And while not represented in the largest region, we were excited to see the growth of data entry from folks in Puerto Rico this year. With the majority of the organizations represented from small to mid-sized organizations. And of course, these organizations represented many disciplines and taxonomies, with performing arts being the largest category. The last snapshot I want to share is our pilot project that we lightly launched this year, our data entry project. Our goal with this project was to explore methods that removed the challenge of data entry from organizations by enlisting our support center team with data entry duties. Organizations gathered their fiscal data, and our team of support center specialists entered into the CDP that data on their behalf. We imagined that if we removed the task of entering data on behalf of organizations, with this pilot, we centered smaller, culturally specific organizations. The result would be that it would improve user experience to have a more representative data set in areas like research. Participants of this pilot were matched with the support center specialists that entered their financial and programmatic data directly from the CDP. As a kickoff, participants attended a welcome webinar that explained the program and process and how they would work with their assigned specialist via one-on-one meetings until the process was completed. So we share this example in part because it's our hope to be more transparent on methods we're testing to make data entry experience less stressful for all users. In facilitating the project, we did learn that while the pilot was helpful to the organizations that participated, as you can see from a quote from the participating organization, for this program to have a larger impact that helps many more organizations and projects, we internally have to have a few more steps to take to adjust to the nuance needed for a mass appeal. Simply put, there is still more learning we need to do before we can successfully offer this on a larger scale. On the bright side, we did learn that most folks in the pilot benefited from a one-on-one meetings with support center staff incorporated into the pilot. The ability to talk through nuanced elements of one's own organization in relation to the CDP proved to be incredibly beneficial. And this takeaway is one we want to share with all our users. That ability to talk about your organization and how to best enter into the CDP, or enter your data into the CDP, is available to anyone, even if it's just over a scheduled call with a nice cup of coffee or tea. The support center is here to assist you in that matter if you so desire. So, segue. In the same fashion as the data entry pilot, let me introduce you to my colleagues in the support center. Here is our full list of support center staff. Dan Gordon, our support center manager. Eamon Doherty, the senior support center specialist. Benjamin Eisenhower, support center specialist. And myself, AJ Taylor, also a support center specialist. So each of these folks are ready to assist with any questions you have about entering data into the CDP. We do very much realize and know that your work and mission is unique, and we're here to help you enter and understand your data as much as we can. When you reach out to a member of our team via email or by phone, we ask for 1 business day for a response. We have made internal improvements to improve our response time to calls and emails. So I will say that while 1 business day is the official line, in practice, you can expect to get a response much, much sooner than that. Um, your outreach to us is important, and we know that your time is very valuable, so we make it a point to reach out as soon as we can. So I would say the vast majority of the time it will be the same business day. Remember, our team is also available for general questions at our CDP training webinars. There are so many different ways to connect with our team that we really hope that you do. Also, you'll note that there is a change in our support center hours. So starting January 3rd, 2023, we will shift our office time to 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. This change will allow us more availability to our partners on the Pacific Coast specifically. With all that, I'll shift things over to Monica to talk about the research from CDP data.
Thank you, AJ. We've spent a little bit of time looking at some helpful facts about the CDP. I want to spend a little bit of time showing you how the data from the CDP has provided research and insights to the field. So let's go ahead and continue. And I'll first start with some updates from our organization and our plans for the future. We recently released a new strategic plan, and the central priority we've adopted is to deepen and emphasize our research work. Our vision is to provide and engage organizations and individuals with evidence-based insights needed to collectively build strong, vibrant, and equitable arts communities. And our research is the vehicle we've used to accomplish that goal. We plan to deepen our research and data integration capabilities, and we will also continue to share high-quality insights to the field. And we're also prioritizing ways to contribute to a more equitable funding models. The data that you've been entering into the CDP is a part of that vision too, since it fuels our research as well as research from others outside of our organization. I want to show you some ways that your data has been used to provide those insights to the field this year, along with research that has been beneficial to others. So I'll kick off with one of our earlier blogs from this year, and it was released in the spring. Our team of researchers explored past CDP data to examine how the sudden stoppage and large-scale closures impacted art and cultural organizations in the earlier stages of the pandemic. This blog series started with an examination of trends in unrestricted contributed revenue to answer if giving sustained the arts during a time where earned revenue dropped. This first blog highlighted 3 years of trend data, and it broke down the metric to organizational size and other data points. This series also focused on which funding sources served arts and cultural organizations during this challenging period, and explained how with less funding expenses, generally, organizations had a higher return on their investment, and that average turned out to be $7.35, which was an increase from 2019, which was $6.22. We also released an academic report in the Journal of the Academy of Marketing Sciences titled Advancing Customer Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, a measurement of stakeholder influence and the role of marketing. While this report is a great example of CDP data in academic spaces, it is a great example of insights from the CDP outside of the traditional financial reports. The CDP data and the data set can be used to provide diverse insights, and DEI is another space we're planning to provide them. And the upcoming year, we'll release another white paper report that looks at diversity, equity, and inclusion by way of CDP and workforce demographic data. And that report examines psychological safety in the workplace. And you may remember a past report from 2021 that looked at audience diversity. And it was titled The Intersection of Funding, Marketing, and Audience Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And this new release will continue the conversation and quantify the significance of psychological safety for the arts workforce. You'll also find CDP data used in the recent release of Chorus America's Chorus Operations Survey and COVID Impact Report. In 2022, Chorus Operations Survey Report shares how Chorus's budgets, digital and in-person programming practices, staffing, they've changed due to the impacts of the pandemic. It highlights the significant impacts that the pandemic had on choruses. And while the choruses that contributed data ended in fiscal year 2020 and 2021, an overall healthy financial position, this report leaves no doubt that the choral field faced a period of regrowth and rebalancing. And I'll highlight a few other reports outside of SMU DataArts that used CDP data for advocacy and insights within their community. This first report, The Cultural Sustainability of US Cities, the Scaling of Nonprofit Arts Footprint with the Population, was published by George Kramer for SUNY Purchase College. And this is a great example of academic research using CDP data to understand operational characteristics of US-based art organizations. We also have the State of the City Center 2022 report released in May of this year. And this report is an annual report on the city center area of Philadelphia that utilizes CDP data in its art section of the report. And CDP data is sometimes used for advocacy, and this is a great example of an advocacy report titled The Economic Impact of Dance in Arizona, and it was released in the summer of this year. Another great example of research that is outside of SMU DataArts that utilizes our data set came from Ohio Arts Council and the National Assembly of State Art Agencies. This September, they released their report, The Equity Gap Project. In 2022, the Ohio Arts Council and the National Assembly of State Art Agencies collaborated on the Equitable Grant-Making Assessment Pilot Project. Their work examined art funding patterns in Ohio and helped the Ohio Arts Council work towards its goal of making arts funding opportunities more accessible to all Ohio communities. Our team behind the scenes is currently, they're dropping links to a number of the reports that I mentioned, and we'll also be sure to share in our follow-up email as well. Before we move on, I do want to take a moment to share some other research that came from SMU DataArts. And these blogs and research, they don't specifically use CDP data, but I want to highlight them as they may be useful to you in your work. This year, we provided an update to a report that we released in 2021. It's our audience demand prediction report. This update, our research team re-examined the impacts of the pandemic on performing art ticket sales for 100 organizations. And the analysts, they updated two earlier sets of results. One that examined ticket sales data through June 2021, and another that examined ticket sales through September 2021. And I've also shared our unemployment report that explored unemployment and demographic characteristics of the art and cultural workforce across the US. Now, one thing that you can expect from us at SMU DataArts is research. We are still currently releasing reports and insights, and we hope that they add value to your work as we look towards another amazing year. So this week, we released our most recent blog on machine learning and how it can be used for more equitable grant-making practices. And we also released a report that evaluated the work completed with the Ford Foundation in their Creative and Free Expression Arts and Culture program. And our team is sharing links to both of those in the chat, and we hope you take a moment to explore them. But before the year ends, we still have a few more things to come down the pipeline. We will release our Arts Vibrancy Index report, and that looks at art vibrant communities across the nation. And we'll also be releasing our theater facts produced in collaboration with TCP. Now, we're excited for another year of research and insights, but it always starts with the data. So before we end our time together, I would like to share some additional helpful resources and support that'll be available to you in the new year. And I'll shift things back to AJ to kick us off.
Thanks, Monica. First things first, I'd like to reshare the time changes from the Support Center. Our team is still available to assist folks through the data entry process, and as well as help you run reports for your funders and staff. And if you experience any technical challenges or platform issues, always feel welcome to reach out to us by email at help@culturaldata.org or by phone at 877-707-DATA, which is 3282. I do want to note that for the winter holidays, we will be closed on December 23rd, December 30th, and January 2nd. And we'll also be operating reduced hours December 26th to 29th of 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then starting on January 3rd, 2023, our new hours of 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday to Friday, come into effect. Many people entering their data for the first time, or if you have folks on your team that help you enter data into the cultural data profile. We offer training webinars. They're another place to get step-by-step directions and best practices about entering your data into the CDP. These webinars are guided by members of our team, and we'll always have a member of the Support Center present to help answer any questions you may have in real time. Our next training will be on Tuesday, January 3rd at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If that time does not work, our next live stream presentation will be held in March. We are in the process of adjusting our orientation webinar schedule to bi-monthly to best accommodate our users. However, if you would like access to a recording of this webinar or need a Spanish captioned version of this training, I will ask my team to share the link to the recording on our Vimeo page. And we'll be sure to include that link in our follow-up communications as well. Another helpful training that we provide to a national audience is our Data at Work session. This training shows organizations how to access our reporting tools by exploring each of our category of analytic reports and the KIPI dashboard, which is our extremely helpful benchmarking tool. Each of these webinars are free and are designed to help you learn from the data that you've entered into the CDP, gives you value beyond the grant-making process. For the Data at Work training, we will share 2023 dates in the new year, but we are happy to share a recording from a past webinar at this time. And with that, it is back to you, Monica.
Thanks, AJ. I'm excited to share a little bit about our Arts Vibrancy Index. This report, again, released very soon. It draws upon a set of data-informed indicators to recognize art vibrant communities, large and small across the country. Upon its release, you'll be able to review and share this report along with joining the accompanying webinar. And we'll share some top takeaways along with hearing from folks within the community as they talk about their work to maintain their vibrant communities, particularly amongst a particularly challenging time of the pandemic. At this point, registration is open. That webinar will be on January 31st at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, we'll provide those links into the chat. And I do want to share an announcement for an open call. Before we have our workforce demographic open study that will kick off in 2023. SMU DataArts invites organizations across the country to participate in an open study on workforce demographics for an opportunity to receive a personalized report and gain deeper insights into the diverse makeup of your staff, board, and independent contractors. Get an affordable and reliable insights into demographics and well-being of your workforce. This survey is a 7-minute anonymous survey. And again, it'll allow you to provide some valuable insights, and particularly for organizations who are committed to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. We, again, are committed to making the service affordable to as many organizations, and we suggest a price based on your organization's annual budget, and that can start from $25 and go above. Registration to the open study will happen in January, and the study will run from early April to June of next year. So continue to look out for more information from us about that service and opportunity. With that, we're at the final few slides, and we do want to pause for questions that you may have with us. As you are thinking about some questions, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. I'm curious to learn about what you may be interested in when it comes to research from SMU DataArts. So as you may be writing in a question, you may even take a moment to share your thoughts about what you look forward to learning from our team at SMU DataArts in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. It'll be active as folks are answering or sharing any questions from our team. And AJ, as folks are being put to work, if you wanted to share any last minute thoughts about the support center and having folks reach out to you all.
Thank you, Monica. Just to reiterate, we at the Support Center are here to help make this process as good of an experience for you as it can. We are thrilled to hear from people. I can say personally, I find a lot of satisfaction about getting to use my knowledge to help people solve problems that would be difficult or impossible to solve on their own. You'll talk to someone who's so good at what they do. We take a great amount of pride in our work. So if you have a question from as simple as my password needs to be reset to I need help breaking down the entirety of my audited financial statements and putting them in the CDP, we can do both those things. Anything in between, that's up to you. Help is always free. And so if you think, should I contact support, please do. We'll be there for you.
Thank you so much, AJ. And thank you to each of you for answering our poll. I'm going to give it just one more moment for folks to kind of share their thoughts. But as I conclude our time, I do want to reiterate ways that you can stay connected with us. There are a number of social media platforms for you to learn passively, but there are also ways that you can share with us. And we'd also like to learn more about your experiencing using our platform. I've gotten a moment I'm going to go ahead and end our poll and share the results. And it seems as though most folks are excited to learn about changes in the art and cultural workforce through the pandemic. And the second popular choice was the levels of financial stability across the sector. And that's really helpful as we continue to think about some really impactful insights and research to come from SMU DataArts. I just want to reiterate, we are recording today and we are going to be able to share the number of links that were shared with you along with the slides and the recording of today's presentation. We're going to remain on our webinar space, but I just want to say thank you to each of you for joining us for our end of the year review and all of your participation and collaboration with the CDP. On behalf of our amazing team behind the scenes, thank you. And thank you for your continued partnership. We truly value everything that you do to make the entire art sector what it is. So thank you for joining us. We will continue to remain on our webinar space for just another moment, but again, we appreciate you joining us today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, it looks like there are no additional questions. I will be closing our webinar space. Thank you again. Have a good day.